If you're a wrestling fan who gets excited about storyline progression and character psychology, you've got to subscribe to WWE Express right now. We break down the narratives that make professional wrestling a character-driven art form, and you won't want to miss what's coming. On Monday Night Raw, April 27, 2026, professional wrestling witnessed one of the most significant power shifts in recent memory. Roman Reigns, the man who has spent years establishing himself as the apex predator of the WWE, was brutalized in a backstage assault. But this wasn't random violence. This was calculated. This was a statement. And it fundamentally changes everything we thought we knew about the Bloodline's internal structure. Let's rewind for a moment and understand the context that makes this assault so narratively explosive. Roman Reigns has carried the weight of the Bloodline for an extended period. He's been the undisputed leader, the guy everyone answers to, the man whose word is law. But wrestling, like all great storytelling, thrives on conflict. Real power doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in the tension between competing forces, between ambition and authority, between the old guard and the rising generation. Femi has been ascending the card with genuine momentum. This isn't a push that came out of nowhere. For months, WWE has been carefully building him as a physical specimen, as a force of nature that few can contain. His matches have gotten bigger. His presence has become more pronounced. And most importantly, his eye contact with power has become increasingly noticeable. There's a hunger in the eyes of Femi that tells you he's not satisfied being a mid-card player. He wants to sit at the table where the biggest decisions are made. He wants to be seen as essential. He wants respect that comes from fear. Then there's Fatu, the Samoan werewolf. The name alone carries weight, carries legacy, carries expectation. Fatu represents a connection to something primal in professional wrestling storytelling. He's positioned not just as a wrestler, but as a phenomenon. When Fatu moves, people take notice. When he gets involved in a situation, the gravity of that moment shifts immediately. Now imagine these two forces ascending: talent with something to prove, an established presence with animal instinct coming together with focused intent. The backstage ambush on Roman Reigns sends a message that's impossible to ignore. It says that the Bloodline's internal hierarchy might not be as absolute as we've been led to believe. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, the throne isn't as secure as the current king thinks it is. This is where the narrative becomes fascinating. Roman Reigns has built his entire character on the concept of tribal authority. He's not just a fighter. He's the head of a family. Leadership means something to him. Loyalty means something to him. But what happens when that loyalty starts to fracture? What happens when members of your own faction start questioning whether they should be bowing to you or standing beside you as equals? The brutalization is significant for another reason entirely. This wasn't a wrestling match where there are rules and referees and the chance to prove your superiority in a traditional contest. This was a real-world application of power. It was two people with something to prove combining their strength against a man who, despite his incredible abilities, can still be overwhelmed by numbers and determination. That matters for character development. It matters for how we perceive these wrestlers going forward. Femi learning that he can stand up to Roman Reigns, even in an ambush scenario, changes his character arc. He's no longer just an up-and-comer. He's someone willing to challenge the establishment. He's willing to take risks. He's willing to act instead of wait for an opportunity. That's the kind of character that audiences invest in because he feels dangerous, unpredictable, and genuinely threatening. Fatu being involved in this sends its own message. If Jacob is willing to move against Roman, it suggests something beyond personal ambition. It suggests faction dynamics are shifting. It suggests allegiances might be reorganizing. This is especially significant if there's any suggestion that Jacob isn't doing this independently but as part of a larger strategic shift within the bloodline itself. The aftermath becomes the real story. How does Roman Reigns respond? Does he come back harder? Does he seek retribution? Does he make a statement that puts both Femi and Fatu back in their place? Or has something fundamental shifted? Has he been damaged not just physically but psychologically? The confidence that comes with established authority can be shaken. It can be fractured. And once it's fractured, rebuilding it becomes infinitely more difficult. For WWE's creative team, this ambush is a brilliant story device. It opens endless storytelling possibilities. You've got potential one-on-one matches that now feel personal and consequential. You've got the possibility of larger bloodline conflicts. You've got the chance to establish Femi as someone who isn't afraid of the biggest names on the roster. You've got Fatu proving that he's not just here to be a physical presence but an active agent in the narrative. This is professional wrestling working at its finest. This is storytelling through physicality, through positioning, through implications that go far beyond the immediate moment. When you see a brutalization like what happened to Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw, you're not just seeing violence. You're seeing the setup for chapters of narrative that will unfold over weeks and months. The brilliant part about this story is that everyone wins from a character perspective. Roman Reigns gets to show vulnerability in a way that makes him more human and relatable. Femi and Jacob Fatu get to establish themselves as serious threats. The audience gets investment in questions that have genuine stakes. Who will come out on top? Will the bloodline survive intact? What's next for Roman Reigns? These are the kinds of questions that keep fans engaged, that keep them theorizing between shows, that keep them invested in the next Monday Night Raw, the next premium live event, the next significant moment in the story of professional wrestling. If this kind of deep dive into wrestling narrative and character psychology speaks to you, please subscribe to WWE Express. We're committed to breaking down the stories that make professional wrestling matter, and we'd love to have you part of this community as we analyze every twist, every turn, and every implication in the ongoing saga of WWE's biggest stars.